Hi everybody, and a very warm Sunday morning welcome to our Keysound and Korg UK online event. It's lovely to have your company, and we've got a lot of things going on for you today. It's all things Korg, all things Keysound throughout the day, and I hope and I know actually that you're going to enjoy what we have on offer for you. We've got some special guests, we've got a lot of music, we've got some teaching, both on the products and on the playing side. We've got an exclusive, and we're going to round it all off with a very special concert which took place a week last Friday. I'll tell you all about that in just a few minutes. I hope you like our new surroundings. We've created this new studio and we've set it out like a nice little homely lounge setting, which we thought would be really nice. I'm not going to show you the other end of the studio. I'm looking at it as we speak. It's a little bit of a mess, to say the least. It's a mass of wires, spare lights, spare leads, computers, mixers. But maybe another day we'll show you what happens behind the scenes in the creation of one of these videos. Now, you probably noticed we've got another camera here. I've got another tripod or a little arm bracket here ready for another camera. We want to give you that full immersive effect today. We want you to see what we're doing from all angles. And as I said, we've got a lot of things going on. We've got two special guests. Not long spoken to Pete Shaw. He's winging his way down the motorway as we speak from his home in Cheshire to join us. And Pete is we're gonna have a little sort of in conversation with, and we're gonna learn all about what Pete gets up to on a daily basis, what he's done in the past, and why he has such a long-term relationship with the Korg company. Also, Pete is here to preview a new piece of software, and this is an exclusive today because this is the first time this will have been shown to the public, and I'm going to let Pete tell you all about it when he gets here. But very briefly, if I tell you, this started as a 2-week project, finished up as a 4-month project, because Pete is an absolute perfectionist, and those of you that know him will know exactly what I'm saying. When he creates sounds and registrations, he hones them in to the nth degree, and that's what he's done with this software. It's an incredible piece of software available exclusively for Keysound. I'm going to say that again. He has created this exclusively for Keysound for the Pa5x, and it's a wonderful collection of registrations covering all sorts of musical genres and all the things that people always ask us for. But that's coming a little bit later on. We've got our dear friend Andy Carvel, who's going to be dropping by later, and he's bringing along his Korg Pa5x to show you, and he'll be talking a little bit like that. And again, we'll have a little bit of a conversation with Andy and find out exactly what he's done in his 40-odd years in this business, and why ultimately he ended up with a Korg Pa1000. I'll tell you now, he absolutely loves that product, and I'm sure when he comes in with it, we'll find out why. Andy's going to be showing you a few things on that. I know he's going to show you the sequencer, because he absolutely loves the power yet the simplicity of the sequencer in the Korg Pa1000, and he uses that on a daily basis. So I know for a fact that's one of the things he wants to take us through, how he actually puts a multi-track recording together. The other thing Andy will be doing, he'll be just doing a little bit of something that he does brilliantly, to be honest, and that's some general playing hints and tips that you can have a go at over the next few days, and all these little things will help just elevate your playing to the next level. I'm going to be doing some stuff as well, and in fact I'm going to start the day off basically because there's nobody else here at the moment, but I'm going to be taking you through some of the features that I absolutely love about the Pa5x. As many of you know, I spent 4 to 5 years on Pa4x, and my natural progression was to move on to the Pa5x. I haven't regretted it. The sound quality has gone up quite some, and there's some great features that I'm going to show you. If there's anything throughout the day, whether it's Pete's software or anything you've seen, any products you've seen that you want to get in touch with us, then please, after the event has taken place today, you are welcome to contact us by telephone, by email, or via the website. And don't worry, because throughout the day, though, that telephone number, that email address, that website address will be popping on the screen from time to time. So there will be no excuse for not contacting us. We need one thing from you today, and it's really, really simple. We want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the content we have for you. It's going to take me a couple of minutes to get the cameras ready for this first little segment. So in the meantime, sit back, relax, and just enjoy this little piece of music which I put together for you. And I will see you the other side of this tune for our first look today at the Korg Pa5x. Thanks again for joining us, and enjoy your day with us. Well, I hope you enjoyed that lovely little melody just as much as I do. It was written by the much missed Mr. Ennio Morricone, an absolutely prolific composer, particularly in that realm of film themes. Some incredible film themes he's written over the years. That was from probably a lesser known film, but it was the theme from the film Cinema Paradiso. And the reason I wanted to include that piece, it features two sounds which I absolutely adore on this Korg product. First one is that solo cello that you heard through the first couple of verses. It's just the most accurate and almost spine-tingling cello sound I've ever heard from this type of instrument. And then we led into that full string orchestra. In my honest opinion, nobody does string orchestras quite like Korg do. And what you have to understand about the technology that's here and now in this Pa5x is that this was the sort of technology that up until this product coming out was only available on the big top-end pro workstations, things like the Kronos and the Nautilus, which you've only got to switch any of the TV shows on and look at what the band are using. It was invariably a Kronos and now Nautilus, and they had those sort of sounds that you're now hearing. So that sort of technology is now filtering down into our, let's call it, home keyboard product. Obviously it's a lot more than that. This is actually a sort of professional workstation that also has styles and that built in. But in essence, we're talking about a home keyboard here, and the sound quality we're now getting is unbelievable. Moving on to the next little feature, this, I believe I'm correct in telling you that at the time of having this conversation, this is the only arranger keyboard out there on the market that has this feature. And that feature is called seamless transition. Now, as the name would suggest, this allows us to seamlessly transition from one sound to another without losing the original sound. Now, let me see if I can put that into context for you. When you watch an orchestra play, you might have the string section playing away, and then let's say the oboe is going to do a solo. Well, when it gets to the oboe solo, all the other sounds, including the strings, don't suddenly cut off and we just get oboe. The strings will carry on playing and then the oboe plays over the top. And that's what seamless transition allows you to do. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how I use it and how I hope you could use it in your playing. The first little example, we are going to take one of the factory set libraries, keyboard set libraries, provided for by Korg. So this sound is in the Pa5x when you take it out of the box. And we're here looking at one called Movie Orchestra. And if I just have a look, it's a mixture of movie strings, strings quartet, and strings and vocal. Now, movie strings on its own is like, there's a little bit of horns and that in the background. So we're talking a big movie type orchestral sound here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that sound in isolation. Then what I would like to do is play the same phrase again. And when we hold our last chord, I want to do a nice little run on the piano. But as I said before, I don't suddenly want that string orchestra to disappear. That would be false. It's not how it happens in real life. So what we're going to do with the aid of the sustain pedal or a simple foot switch, we're going to hold that string sound on, change to piano and do the piano run. Then you will hear, you'd get this, what we're going to call seamless transition. So the piano will come in as well as the strings. Let's show you. I'm going to need to put my headphones on so I can hear what's happening. Please excuse my back a little bit. Hopefully you can still see, but I'm sure you can see from the side camera there. So we're going to take our movie orchestra sound, and this is the sound on its own. Really big sound. You've even got some little timpanis down there as well. So what we're now going to do is play the same phrase again when I get to that last chord. And there I was playing 6 notes altogether. I've got a couple of notes down in the bass and 4 notes up here. But actually, it doesn't matter how many notes you're holding. It's the principle. I'm going to, when I've played those 6 notes, I'm going to press the foot switch. That will hold those notes. I'm going to change to piano, and then we'll do our little run on the piano. Then, the great thing then is, as soon as we release our foot switch, it's like the conductor telling the whole orchestra to come off, and we get that great effect there. So here we go, this time using seamless transition. And off. It's a great effect, and as I said, to my knowledge, this is the only arranger keyboard that allows you to do this. I'm going to show you it now in a slightly different way. I'm going to choose a little songbook entry, which I sort of made a little bit earlier here, but it's basically an out-of-the-box setting. The only thing I've actually altered, I've slowed the tempo of the rhythm down, but I chose movie ballad, dropped the tempo down to what I wanted, and I've got 4 sounds along here. For this little demonstration, I'm only going to use keyboard set 1, which is octave piano, and keyboard set 4, which is alto sax. Now, we're not using the foot switch this time. I know you can't see, but just take my word for it, I'm not going to use the foot switch at all. What I can actually do is play a little phrase on the sax. Now, if I keep that last note held and change to the piano, I can now play a little obbligato piano part, or repeat that phrase on the piano down here, but the saxophone won't disappear. And this is really hard to describe, so that's why I'm giving you some little examples. But on all of the keyboards, if I was on that alto sax and I suddenly press piano, the alto sax would instantly disappear and we would go to piano. Now, that may be fine in some cases, but it's in how we're looking to use it here, it's just false. It's not how things happen in real life. So let's just do it without any rhythm for a second. So we'll play the phrase on our saxophone. You get the idea. This is brilliant, and I use this all the time when I'm playing. Yes, it takes a little bit of practice, there's a little bit of technique involved, but it opens up whole new possibilities for the way you can use this instrument. So what we're going to do now, just to finish this little look at seamless transition, is to use the rhythm, and we'll just play a little snippet of that piece, and we'll use that transitioning between the sax and the piano. Every time I do it, just have a listen, you'll still hear both sounds are playing. We use a little break, which will give us effectively a 1-bar intro, and hopefully it goes like this. So there you go, just a little snippet, and hopefully you could see there how we were using that seamless transition. Okay, on to sound number 3 that I really love on this instrument, and that is the drawbar sound. The drawbar section on this instrument has been totally revamped. We've got all new organ samples in here. So let's again just load a little songbook entry here, and all I'm going to use effectively is one sound all the way through, but I can vary it because I'm going to use these sliders here, these 9 sliders, effectively as my drawbars. And if we press that, I can get the drawbars up on the screen, and then hopefully, as you can see there, as I'm moving the drawbars, they will move in the screen in turn. This is a little Latin American piece. I put a little backing track together here using the sequencer on board and saved it as an MP3. We're just going to highlight the drawbar sounds. Hope you like it. This is my version of a little piece called Besame Mucho. Well, there you go. That's just a little piece just to show the sort of sound that we can get from the all new drawbar section on the Korg Pa5x here. And you know, when you look closely at that drawbar section, it really is a complete instrument in its own right, because not only do we have the drawbars either physical or virtual in the screen, we have all the other controls and effects that you would have expected to find on the traditional Hammond tone wheels. So yes, we have slow and fast tremolo, we have chorus and vibrato effects, we have overdrive, we have percussion attack, we have leakage. These are all the little things that went together to create that real unique sound. One of the things that I absolutely love, because I think it's a little nod to those old vintage Hammonds, is You probably noticed I was using the little joystick a lot. Well, that was enable me to swap between slow and fast tremolo. And you know, even without changing the sound, that's one of the best ways to put light and shade into your music when you're using those drawbars. And each time I flick that forward, it's toggling between slow and fast tremolo. And the reason I think that's a little nod to the old vintage Hammonds is that we used to have, I'm going back to my working men's clubs days here, there was always a little control unit on the front of the Hammond there with a switch that we moved from side to side. And that is, it now feels so authentic to just have a little switch that we can switch. So that's a little bit about drawbars. We're going to go on to 3 little snippets of tunes now, all to do with famous band leaders, but they all, again, highlight some features that I actually love about the instrument. The first one was, or it came about rather, when I was trying to recreate the sound of Korg Pa5x and his Tijuana brass. And I started to play a little piece which I played many, many years ago called Tijuana Taxi. And in the middle section, which I'll show you in a second, I needed a really quick registration change. And try as I might, I put the different sounds that I needed, and whether it was either using the touch screen or the buttons here to change sound, I just couldn't do it quick enough and smooth enough. And it was, even when I did manage it, it was more by luck than judgment. So what I've done is use a feature of the Korg PA series, which enables us to create more than one split on the keyboard. What do I mean by that? Well, let me explain. I'm using a 61 note. Obviously, Korg do a 76 note version of this, and they even do an 88 note, which for anybody who's played piano before, absolutely fantastic to have 88 note with all these controls as well. But let's say even on this one, I took just piano sound and I want to play it as a piano. I could have piano across the whole keyboard. Secondly, I could use it as an arranger keyboard, which we're about to do, where you would have either the default split point or a split point of your own choice, to the left of which you will play your chords. Now that could be 3-note, 4-note chords. You might be playing with single finger chord, doesn't matter. You will use that section to the left of the split to generate your chords however you wish to do, and that in turn drives the style section of the instrument. Then we come to our right hand, or the melody part, and again, with all the Korg PA products, right from PA700 up to the flagship 5X, we have 3 upper voices that we can layer together. But there's many times I don't need to use all 3, and this was one such instance. I definitely needed two trumpets together because I wanted to create that harmony trumpet effect. But then I also needed a marimba, and that features quite heavily in a lot of Korg Pa5x arrangements. So I got to the middle bit of the tune. Let me pop the headphones on and I will show you the problem I had. I'm going to really slow this down so I can just show you. The middle section of Tijuana Taxi goes like this. Then I wanted the marimba. Not so good in slow motion, is it? But hopefully that shows you what I needed to achieve. Now, you imagine this at full speed, and I'm trying to play my little trumpet phrase, change the sound, come back, play marimba, change sound to go back to the trumpets. It just didn't work, and it will never work. But creating a second split on the keyboard, and it's ever so easy to do, I tend to think of them as zones. So what I've done, we've got our zone for our left hand, then we've got a zone, an area of notes that only play the trumpets, and then we've got a third zone at the top that we're using for our marimba. Now, the other thing I'm doing in this, on the trumpets, I said earlier I wanted this effect of trumpets playing in perfect harmony. Well, what I've done is I've used the ensemble feature, which is like the block chording on the right hand, and with the two trumpet sounds together, instead of this, we'll then get that nice effect of the trumpets in harmony. So we're going to try this at full speed. Have a listen how quick I can now transfer from one sound to the other just by moving my hand up an octave. And I also need to mention one other thing. During the intro of this, you will hear a sound, and here's the disclaimer. This has nothing to do with the baked beans that were in my full breakfast this morning. It is actually the sound of a car horn, Tijuana taxi. Hope you enjoy it. It goes hopefully like this. Great fun, nice little fun piece there. But again, you see how we're able to use that split. You can use that in so many different ways. I've got another little piece that I play where all I need occasionally is a little bell note, and I've assigned just a few notes at the top just for that bell, and it just makes that playing almost seamless. You can transition from one sound to the other. Now, we said we're talking about famous band leaders. Of course, Herb Halpert created that infamous sound of the Tijuana Brass. Let's go, well, I tell you what, if I say to you German band leader, composer. Now, I just wonder how many of you are now thinking, oh, he's going to play some James Last. Well, we are in a bit. But before that, I want to highlight another famous German band leader, composer, arranger that had such a distinctive sound, and that was Bert Kaempfert. And he had such a happy sound as well. And I just want to show you that this new flagship arranger, the Pa5x, it does this to perfection. And one of the things that was so distinctive in the sound of the Bert Kaempfert Orchestra was this pick bass. And you will hear that coming through. We're going to use another trumpet, but this is one of the new solo trumpets. Great sound. And I'm using a style called Safari Swing. Obviously, one of Bert Kaempfert's big hits was Swinging Safari, but I'm not going to play that one. I was skimming through a Bert Kaempfert sheet music album that I had, and I saw this title. Haven't heard that song before. Where do you go? You go to YouTube. Had a listen to it on YouTube, and I thought, do you know what? That will be something a little bit different. And as if by magic, what happens is I play a little phrase on the trumpet, and this Safari Swing style kindly obliges with a lovely little flute. Let's call it an obligato part. Running in the background, and it's almost like it's working in tandem with me. So I hope you like this. I'm only going to play a little bit of it. It's a little thing called the Happy Trumpeter. And I need to point out one other important thing. And again, this is why I've included this one, because this highlights another great feature on all the Korg arrangers, and that is intro to and ending to. We're all familiar these days with these wonderful orchestrated arrangements that have all the chord changes in, and then we come in. With Korg, intro to and ending to are unique and very special because they have all the ingredients of an intro. So the drums phrase like an intro, so do all the instruments, but they haven't included any chord changes. They've left you to be able to put your own chord changes in, so you can create almost dedicated instruments or unique, sorry, I said instruments there, dedicated intros or unique intros to you. Now, another important thing is when we press any of the intros or the variations, there's always a little number in the little style section, and that tells us how long that intro is. So I can see that intro 2 is 4 bars, so I need to just think 4 bars worth of chords. Of course I could put a little right hand bit, but I'm going to keep it really simple this time. I'm just going to play 4 bars of chord changes that fit with the piece that I'm about to play. The happy trumpeter, so this is Bert Camford. Listen out for that little flute almost talking to the trumpet. Listen out for intro 2 and have a listen to this superb new solo trumpet sound like this. A very authentic reproduction there of Bert Camford. Now, we mentioned a gentleman just a couple of minutes ago by the name of James Last, and it would be remiss of me not to include a little James Last piece, because I said something at the beginning of the video that I think nobody does orchestral strings quite like Korg do. And what I've been able to do here is create those mixes of strings, choirs, that soft horn sound and the trumpets that James Last used to use. And we've got a whole array of stuff that I've put together here. One thing which crops up time and time again, particularly in the slower pieces with James Last, is the sound of tremolo strings. And tremolo strings is where they bow very, very quickly on the strings. And like this, just have a listen. You can hear that very fast bowing. And the minute I hear that, I always think James Last, because it's so distinctive. Now, if you were to use tremolo strings all the time, particularly as a lead voice, it can probably get a little bit too much. But bear in mind, this is in the accompaniment behind all the drums and the guitars and behind our main strings and brass sounds that we've got on the right hand. And it's, to me, it's just that final little bit of the jigsaw that really makes it an authentic James Last sound. I hope you like this one, just a little ballad called Games Lovers Play. go, a little bit of James Last. So 3 very, very popular band leaders, all featuring little things that I actually love about PA5X. Just going to have a little change round and we'll be back with you in a couple of seconds. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little tune. That was a piece that you don't hear that often, but it's a beautiful song from the 70s, written by an American guy called Dan Fogelberg. And that was a little piece called Longer. I always try and find little pieces that not everybody else plays, and I think that was a beautiful little tune. And again, you hopefully heard some of the quality of the voices there on the PA5X. So what else do I like about this product? The case. This is metal, this is wood. This is not a plastic molded keyboard case. This is quality. It oozes quality when you actually feel it in its construction. We have a very high quality keyboard bed on here, beautiful to play. Obviously, when you go to the 88 note version, we have a graded hammer action keyboard like on a piano, but on the 61 and the 76 note, we have a very high quality keyboard, as I say, lovely to play. I love the screen on this. We've got a much enhanced screen from the PA4X. The color scheme certainly works for me, and I've got all the information I need clearly laid out. We have lots of variations on that screen, depending what it is we want from the instrument at any particular point in time. We also have an incredible effects unit in here. Now, I don't want to go too in depth with this, but I think we're probably all familiar with reverb. That's been on organs, keyboards for years and years. Well, that is an effect because it's affecting the sound. It's creating something that isn't there in the original sound. So in the case of reverb, we're creating the ambience of a particular environment. But the effects unit on here is so powerful. And I talked earlier about the technology now coming down from those top-end professional workstations that you see the guys on the TV use. Those same sounds, those same effects are now available to the home user. Now, a lot of you will say, yeah, but I don't know how to set all the effects up. Well, I understand that, and that's where a lot of the presets that you call up from the factory already have effects applied. So in the case of things like guitars, they've put that guitar sound through the correct type of guitar amp. They've put things like echoes, delays on there. That's all been done for you. And this is the real beauty and plus point of the software that we're going to be launching with Pete Shaw a little bit later on, because I assure you, Pete has spent weeks and weeks not just mixing the sounds together, but editing and putting the right effects on to the absolute nth degree. So you'll be able to use Pete's voices that he's created in some registrations of your own. So, you know, don't worry too much. All you need to know is the power is in there. Within that effects unit. And I'm going to play just a little snippet of a piece just to show you something. I'm going to need to put the headphones on again because I'm going to need to hear what I'm doing. Do they suit me? And this is a little piece called Alfie, and you're going to hear one of the effects that I really love here. We've got the mixture of a flugelhorn and a muted trumpet. And what we've done is put a delay on the muted trumpet. So actually, when we press the note to start with, you will hear the flugelhorn. And then just a little bit later on, you will hear the sound of the muted trumpet coming in. Let's see if we can show you. Can you hear the muted trumpet bouncing off into the distance? And you think, well, how would I use that? Well, I'm going to show you in just a second. You have a listen for that. I also want you to have a listen to the style that I'm going to be using. And this is something else which has come along a lot on the Pa4X, now the Pa5X. We call them freestyles. And as the name would suggest, they're free from the restraints of tempos and sort of strict bass lines. What they actually create is almost an orchestral stroke ethereal wash of sound in the background that even if you don't play perfectly in time, it still works. So have a listen to this. We're going to use a freestyle called Angel Voice and hear the power of the effects, because what will happen is I will play a little phrase, and then as if by magic, that muted trumpet will repeat that phrase for me in exactly the right place. Have a listen. Goes like this. Unfortunately, I've come to that age where these have got to go on so I can actually read the music. And all being well, it sounds like this. So on to a totally different style of music now, and another thing which has improved beyond recognition on PA5X is the selection of classical organ voices that we have. So now not only do we just have these sort of pre-made mixtures that are called church organ 1, church organ 2 or classical organ 1, we have a whole range of individual stops, which obviously we can mix and match and create our own sounds. I just want to play just a little snippet of Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring for you. Seems quite appropriate, doesn't it, on a Sunday morning? So we're going to do this, and we're going to go through everything from a little sweet, very, very small church organ to the big sound of the cathedral organ at the end. So hope you enjoy it. This is just a little bit to show you the classical organ voicing on the Korg Pa5x. So there we had some, in my opinion, quite amazing classical organ sounds. Well, from the sublime to the ridiculous, I'm gonna leave you with one more favourite sound of mine. But before I do, after I've played this little piece, I'm gonna do a couple of little pieces just to wind up my first hour with you, more in sort of concert style. The first one will be a great song from the 1970s, which I remember vividly as a child, a little thing called You're a Lady. And it's one of those tunes that's always stuck with me because it was the first time ever I'd experienced a brass band being used in a pop record. And I'm going to use some brass band sounds as the lead voices on here. The other one is a little jazz quartet style version of a great number called Don't Get Around Much Anymore. I could spend hours and hours showing you loads more sounds. Trust me, as we go through the day, you'll get to hear all those other sounds, both in the company of myself again and of course Pete Shaw. Very shortly, we've got Andy Carville coming along with his Korg Pa1000. I hope you've enjoyed that first hour, and I said I'm going to do a little snippet just using one of my other favourite sounds. This is something that I discovered the very first week I had this instrument. I think we thumbed through all the sounds, particularly the new sounds, and I found this amazing new whistle sound. And I wanted to put it to good use, and I put this little piece together. Sadly, since I did that, we've lost the artist that made it famous, and that was the wonderful Mr. Roger Whittaker. So here's my little nod to him. It's a little thing called the Mexican Whistler. Have a listen to this stunning whistle voice, and then I'll be back with you very shortly with Andy. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you're enjoying it so far. So here we go, Mexican Whistler.